Hi learners, I welcome you all for the online learning for the course ME 22047 Warehousing Automation, which is offered for the honors degree registered students. So earlier lecture we just dealt with respect to what is the objective for the course as well. The content for the course was dealt in the earlier lecture. Now in this particular lecture we will just go ahead into the further topics with respect to the course. So under unit 1, when we see there are 10 topics are there, which is under unit 1. So the first topic is going to be warehouse process. So the term itself tells warehouse and process. So there are two topics which are directly being governed into it, and further we'll get into the other things, especially which governs with respect to challenges in warehouse activities. So now before we get into it, we need to know what is the global standards, how the warehouse is being dealt by companies across the globe, especially in a developed nation. Then we'll narrow down to our country what is the scenario so that we can judge what's the standard of international versus what is the standard of Indian level. So that it gives us a good clear picture with respect to it. So now in this regard, let us see the world's biggest warehouse. So this is the world's biggest warehouse. What you see on the image, it is governed by Tesla Gigafactory number one, and the size is 4,92,000 meter square. So that's the size of the warehouse, and it is located in New York. Now let us get into the second category. So it is from the aviation industry. So it is none other than Boeing Everett factory, which is in the size of 3,98 square meters, and it is in Washington, USA. Then getting into the other thing under the consumer category, so it is Amazon Fulfillment Center. So it is at the area of 3 lakhs 34 square meters, and again it is also from US. So now what is the takeaway here is developed countries, they have got their own warehouses of which is sprawling lakhs together of square meters. On the contrary, now let us get into what is the scenario in our nation. So India's biggest warehouse being governed by which company? That might be the question which might be haunting you, but obviously that's not the scenario. So here companies are not maintaining, rather than that there are private players. Number one is going to be Godamwale Logistics and Warehouse. Gati probably would have seen in logistics category. All Cargo Logistics Limited, TVS Supply Chain from our state, Mahendra Logistics, Safe Express, VRL Logistics, of course, they are from Karnataka, Vijay Anand Road Lines, Arch Enterprises or AAJ Enterprise, Om Trans Logistics, and finally SK Logistics. So, what is the takeaway here is the first thing what we need to think is developed nations, they do products based on their warehouses, whereas when we come into India, here warehouses are managed by third party, of course not by the regular companies. Of course TVS, they don't do for their products, of course they extend their services to even to other products. So what is the takeaway here which we need to focus upon here is maintaining a warehouse is going to be a costly affair, and country like India where people are prioritized with respect to cost than with respect to the functional or the quality aspects of the product, cost is going to be a key player as far as India is concerned. So therefore, how we should go ahead here is India is not into the warehouse process, maybe because of two reasons. Reason number one, lack of ignorance. They don't know the exact need and necessity for a warehouse, or the second case, there is no need for that because of the other philosophies. And of course, both the reasons remain true up to a certain extent. And India is having a large market, therefore, warehouse for a product is not essential up to a certain extent. So that is the standard what we need to understand. Globally, the requirement is very, very high. Whereas when we come for national, there is a difference with respect to the thing because of certain factors. Of course, we'll learn all these things in future future presentations. So now what is warehouse process? We are not getting into warehouse first, we are getting into warehouse process. So warehouse process refers to the series of activities and operations involved in movement, storage and handling of goods within a warehouse. So the moment when you look into the term warehouse process, don't have a conception that it is going to have only storage activity. No, storage is one of the activity. So mainly it is going to deal with the movement of certain goods. Why do we use the term goods means basically the goods can be classified into three categories. The first category, it is going to be called as finished product. That is, which is readily, which can be sold in the market, which is eligible to be marketed. So that is going to be number one, finished goods. Now, obviously, finished goods is going to be derived from a raw material. So that is going to be the second category, raw material. We have got a raw material. You do some sort of processing, add value to the product, and finally it becomes a product. So that is going to be the second category. And third category is which is neither a product, finished product, nor a raw material. It is in between. You kick-started with the process, and all the process are have not been completed, and which is interim is going to be called as work in progress, WIP. So usually companies work in this regard to minimize their WIP. You should not have enhanced amount of WIP. So let me put a very simple example in this regard. Say I am manufacturing some spark plugs. For a petrol engine, I am manufacturing spark plugs. So raw materials I have got thousands in numbers. So 1,000 numbers of raw materials I have got in my warehouse. Now I have started my process. I need to complete 10 processes. So at the end of 10th process, one spark plug will be ready. So I have got 1,000 raw materials. So I should do 10 processes. At the end of 10th process, it is ready for dispatch or it is ready to be used by the customer. Now, for this, the duration is 1 day. Let us assume my duration is 1 day. Now, what I did is I did 5 processes for all the 1,000 components. So there are total 10 processes, but I did 5 processes for all these 1,000 components. Now, these 1,000 components, can I sell in the market? No, because it should come across all the 10 processes, then only it can be sold in the market. Now, it is called as WIP. Why? What is the cruciality of WIP is it will neither fetch us profit nor it will yield us some sort of money. It is going to be called as dead inventory. At any point of time, until the completion of 10th process, it is going to be called as WIP, work in progress. So now warehouse process is going to handle three particular activity: movement of goods via three categories. It might be finished good, it might be a raw material, or it might be WIP category, storage of all these set threes, and of course handling of these things. Now these processes, that is warehouse processes, need to be highly efficient with respect to inventory management, order fulfillment, and overall supply chain effectiveness. So here we are coming across three particular new terms. The first term is going to be inventory management. The first thing is inventory management. Inventory management means it is going to govern the stock. It might be incoming of a product, or it might be available numbers, or it might be outgoing products. So it is going to be something with respect to stock verification and stock calculation. Second thing is order fulfillment. You have got some 10 numbers. So how many orders have you received? The moment when you dispatch, what will be the balance left out with us? So likewise, we'll be doing. And overall supply chain. So here it is a new term, supply chain. Even in the earlier presentation, that is earlier lecture, we just dealt with respect to supply chain. So now we'll see what is supply chain, because that's a new term what you come across. And of course, that's going to be the essence for warehousing process as well as warehouse. So supply chain. So it is a network of organizations, people, activities, information, and resources involved in the production and delivery of a product or service, right from the origin, that is raw material, to the finished product till you deliver the same to the customer. So this is what supply chain is all about. So now before we get into deal with the actual definition, let me put a very simple example. Now I am constructing one particular, say not a home but a small room like thing, which has got only one window and it is going to have only one door. Let me put as a simple example. Now we have got a civil engineer to do this particular task, or a mason. Let me put in a very simple case. We have got a mason who will take care of this particular building activity. On the contrary, he cannot, or he will not be expertise, he will not be skilled enough to do some sort of windows. Let me assume again, to complicate the thing, let me have a UPVC window, unplasticized polyvinyl chloride window. So nowadays it is very famous where the window is not made out of wood, rather than that a PVC material, polyvinyl chloride material will be used. Now I am giving that particular order to him. I am giving the shape, the size of the window what we wanted to have, and the type of opening. There are several types. Let us not get so deep into it. So some sort of specification we are giving. And again we are coming for another carpenter who is expertise in making wooden doors. So again we request him, we give him the size, and we ask him to go ahead with doing of the same thing. So now what is the takeaway here is, first thing, the moment you give order, what they will do is they will go to market and they will try to get the material to accomplish this task. Now he should be in a position to get everything within time. Then only either the carpenter or the window making guy will be able to do into the task. They will be able to give the product to me. So now let me put the same thing in form of supply chain. I, being the customer, I am giving an order to a mason, and in between, since he is not expertise, I am asking somebody else to do this particular task, and that somebody, that is the carpenter, is depending on somebody else to get the task done. So the map goes on increasing. Okay, the dependability, the factor of dependability is going on escalating with respect to time. So this is what is supply chain. So this is a non-engineering example. Again, let me give another example. So diesel and petrol. So India is a nation which is having very, or it is highly dependent on the import of crude oil. So where do we go ahead and say 15% we import from Russian country. So from Russia we need to get the crude oil. On the nearby part we have got CPCL at Thiruvattriyur, Chennai Petroleum Chemical Limited. So what will happen is they get the crude oil, they process everything, and they make out by means of fractional distillation, they make out the diesel and they make out the petrol. Now that has to be transported to the nook and corner of the southern country, especially Tamil Nadu and parts of Kerala elsewhere. Because the nearest point is somewhere in Mangalore. Mangalore, there is a refinery. So South states are going to be served by these two things. So assume everything is okay, but you have not got the crude oil. Whether the supply chain will be smooth means the answer is no. Okay, on the other case, crude oil has come to the right time. At the right time, we have got it somewhere at Thiruvattriyur. Now, Thiruvattriyur plant, they have completely, they have fraction, that is fractional distillation is done, and petrol and diesel is ready. But again, somewhere internal logistics is having some sort of issue. Again, will be able to meet the supply chain means no. So this is what a supply chain is all about. So the entire loop, right from raw material to the consumer, the logistics, everything should be made evident. If something is not possible, okay, because of geopolitical condition, because of some logistics issues, yes, we may be in a position to go for an alternative solution, and that's where warehouse comes into picture. All the case it may not be possible. So now let us see how the supply chain goes in a traditional case. In a traditional case, so there is a manufacturer. He manufactures everything. It goes to the distributor via three surface transports. The first is we go by means of air shipping. Second by surface road transport, and the third is by water transport. All the cases we may not go for air transport. Why? Because the cost as well as time. So we need to shell good amount of money for the case of transportation. Maybe if it is crucial, we will think of. So where India is often we dependent on either on a truck based or a rail based, train based activity. Then the third is water based. Again, water is not possible for all the cities. For example, Hyderabad. Hyderabad is not having any sort of sea connectivity, obviously. So sea transportation is highly impossible. So whatever may be the means, finally it comes to the distributor. From the distributor, it goes to the retailer. So now each and every activity is going to do their own task within given stipulated time. So this is the fact what we need to consider. So if you are unable to accomplish the task within the given time, then arises the problem. So now warehouse. As I told you earlier, warehouse is going to offer you an excellent solution for this. So warehouse is a facility used for storage of goods, materials and products before they are distributed or used in production or sold to customers. So it is a hub somewhere between all these entities. So now warehouse is not at free of cost. So that's where our automation comes into picture. So that we'll see everything. So actually it is the one which serves as a key component for supply chain, and it is going to ensure that inventory is safely stored. See, inventory is nothing but, as we discussed earlier, it might be a work in progress part, or it might be a finished product, or it might be raw material. So it has to be safely stored and it has to be efficiently managed. Why? Because it might degrade and we might incur losses. And of course, there is another category called as perishable and non-perishable. Let us assume that we are not dealing with perishable products as of now. As of now, we'll see there in challenges. So warehouse operation. So what is the crucial condition with respect to warehouse operation is we consider 8 steps. 8 steps being involved into it. So the first step is order receiving. So as a customer, we just order for one particular product of so many numbers and of so and so specification. So now what will happen is they will have everything in bulk, and that particular package. So for example, I have ordered some 10 batteries, 10 A plus batteries. It will be in the whole package. Now second step will be that particular box will be kept into the storage. So somewhere from the yard it would have been brought, or somewhere from the industry that will be taken away. So first they receive the order, then second thing is the concerned box or the carton, whatever may be the nature of packing, that will be brought to the storage. So that's going to be the third step. Now from that, from the storage, it will be picked up. It will be picked up based on our size, based on our numbers, based on the specification. It is going to be picked up and it is going to be sent for the fifth case, packing. Of course, packing plays a very crucial role because today environmental eco-friendly packing is mandatory based on government norms, local taxonomies. So packing plays a very crucial role because you can't pack much. Obviously, that is going to consume packing charges. So packing is going to be the fifth. And finally, sixth, it is going to shift to the customer by whatever may be the means. Now, inventory management. Why it is taken outside is that is going to account the number of products available inside the warehouse, number of products shipped to who was the one to pack, at what time the packing was done, at what time it left the it left the warehouse will be nicely, it will be documented. And now pending will be accounted. So 10 numbers were being sent to the customer. So initially the box had say some 100 numbers, and now 90 numbers are in hand. So that becomes a platform for further order receiving and other things. So now happily the product has been delivered to the customer, and if it has been delivered nicely, then we don't involve into the eighth step. That is eighth step, we don't come at all. Eighth step, we need not to worry about returns processing. But if there is a damage in the product what we have delivered, say the product has completely been drenched in water, or some cases the product got mismatch, that is order has not been met, they were ordered for some product and other product has been delivered, or defective product, whatever may be the nature of defect. Now why this returns processing is crucial is, see, for the earlier 7 steps we can charge money from the customer, there is no harm, even he will be paying it. But returns processing is the one which is the cost has to be incurred by the company. So therefore, we need to be very, very cautious enough in returns processing. So packing has to be in a very optimum case, as well as we must ensure that there is no defect across the transportation. So these all are the 8 operations what a warehouse does. So among which eighth step is considered, always considered crucial, because that is a non-productive activity at the loss of the company. Now next. So why warehouse is very crucial is actually it requires 3 activities: labor, yes, loading, unloading, packing, everything. So now let us not get into automation of these things. Let us blindly assume that yes, there is some sort of labor being involved. Let us get into automation in the further cases. Then second thing is capital. Yes, we need to hire or we need to buy. Of course, buying may not be a appreciable option, but still, I mean, we need to rent on a rental basis. We need to hire some sort of land. We need to have all the structural requirement and other things. So it is a component which involves good amount of investment and obviously information system. See, nowadays, I hope everyone would have got this experience. The moment you order some product on any e-commerce platform, you get SMS, you get, nowadays even WhatsApp messages we receive, as well as we get the emails. So we can even track the parcel, where it is, when it is packed, when was it being given to some local hub, whatever may be the logistics activities involved. So that is what we need to go ahead with all these things. Why? All the things put together is expensive. So that is where warehouse has to be thought of. So warehouse, it need to compromise the supply chain with respect to time, with respect to demand meeting, as well this part has to be considered. That's where it makes crucial. The presence is considered to be crucial. Now, warehouse goals. So the objectives of warehouse. There are five objectives are there, and all these five objectives at some point of time they will be a category where it will be opposing itself. So we'll see one by one. First, maximize storage efficiency. The first foremost thing what we need to think of is when we come for a warehouse, area wise utilization, space utilization is not considered at all. Not considered. Volumetric efficiency is considered. We need to consider the volume, not the area. Mere area will not yield sufficient or expected results. So volumetric. So what we do is we pile up, we go on pile up. And second thing is minimize handling time. So now, as I told you earlier, is it not violating each other? First case, storage efficiency has to be improved. So we stacked up so many number of components. Now, within minimum time, I am supposed to take the product out. For example, I have stacked some 10 products. Now, the base which is available at the 10th position at the base, I need to pick it up in such a way that the top 9 we should not get affected. So we need to minimize the handling time. On the contrary, inventory accuracy. So 10 products, one I have taken. So immediately, real time case that should get been monitored. So again, that is going to be an interesting task. Then speed up order fulfill time. So you need to work on lead time. There is a term called as lead time. Lead time is the time acquired between order receiving and order dispatch. Whatever the time you are taking in between is called as lead time. Lead time is very, very essential. The lead time as minimum as it is, you are going to gain good amount of appreciation from the customer, or you are going to survive good enough in the market. So that has to be taken care. Now reduce errors and cost across all the four categories. So across all the four categories, you need to reduce the error. We need to reduce the cost. Now need for warehouse. So now let us take a very simple example. So these all are the categories. Say X, Y, and Z. Say manufacturers on one end and the consumers on the other end. Say 1, 2, and 3. Now each of these guys are being supplied from X, Y, and Z. So we have got three consumers and there are three suppliers are there. So the distance is not equally distributed from X to 1, X to 2, and X to 3. Yes, they are not equal. And similarly, from Y to 1, Y to 2, Y to 3. Similarly, Z1 to 3, no, the distance is not equally done. And because of several factors, at all instance, they may not be in a position to fulfill the requirements. So this is where warehouse comes into picture. So now the same case, let us see like this. So similarly, we have got X, we have got Y, the same case. But what is the difference here is we have got a DC or a distribution center in between. So which is going to be, theoretically speaking, it is going to be in the middle. It is going to be available in the middle of all these six entities. Therefore, the distribution is made possible with least possible time. And of course, the six objectives has to be met. So this is one simple model depicting the application of warehouses. So to summarize, we discussed what is warehouse process, then we discussed what is supply chain, we discussed what is a warehouse, the need based on a simple model and the objectives. So learners, if you have any doubt, please note them. On the offline class, we shall discuss. Please note down your doubts. We shall discuss there. So thank you. Thank you for your active learning. Thank you.